I'm Will.
And I'm Bella,
Welcome to Holy Matrimony,
a podcast about my journey into the world of professional wrestling.
where each week I'm going to guide you through my ultimate obsession.
But first, let's get all of the podcast details out of the way. So, we do release new episodes every Thursday. If you would like to keep up with our episode releases, extra information, some fun reels we've been doing, please follow us on social media. We are on X and Instagram at Holy Matrimony. That spelling is HOLYMATCHRIMONY. We're also on TikTok at holy.matrimony. You can find our podcast on most of the popular podcast players, as well as YouTube. So some of you are watching us on YouTube. If you would like to watch us, our channel is Holy Matrimony Podcast. That's youtube.com/@holymatrimony. And of course, it's the same spelling through all of the platforms.
Yep, so please like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Just let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you. What do you want to hear about? What do you not want to hear about? Really helps us out, and we just really want to hear from y'all.
Yes, definitely, especially with a lot of the topics we've been dealing with. So, favorite wrestlers, our predictions. We would love to know your takes on those. So, whether we're right, wrong, who you like, anything. So, please, the comments are very welcome.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, a big topic, which is what's going on now and what's happening next after WrestleMania 40.
So, post WrestleMania, where do we go from here? Is that what I'm asking? Is that what you're asking?
Exactly. I mean, I've probably told you a couple times now. I think I mentioned it last week on the podcast. What do we do, right? WrestleMania is the biggest day of the year, event. It's 2 days, my bad. And so how do we keep that momentum up? In my mind, it's like the Super Bowl happens and football stops, right? Until it comes on the next season. They don't just keep playing. So for me, it's like, well, the biggest event of the year, well, how do we continue that?
Let's just pack it all into WrestleMania season. We're done. We don't need to watch it. WrestleMania season. We'll come back to it.
Oh, I think you and all the wrestling fans would throw a fit if you just did pack it up and go.
Yes. So that is not what happens, obviously, with pro wrestling.
Obviously.
So, very brief context. I'm not going to go too much into this, but WWE has 4 big main events, the big 4s, with WrestleMania being the biggest. But in August, they have SummerSlam. November, it's Survivor Series. January, it's Royal Rumble. So essentially what happens is when one finishes, you essentially start the build for the next one.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we would love for some support, guys, because it sounds like I have 4 events I have to pay for this year and next year. So, the more rates, reviews, watches, the more we can get seen. And maybe I could afford to go to the big 4 one day.
One day. That's our goal, is to go to one of the big 4. That's correct.
Well, yes, we can go to one, but then eventually one year, wouldn't it be fun to go to all 4?
It would be fun. It'd be like my dream to go to all 4.
But I don't think we're even close to there yet. But financially, if anybody, though, like I said, share all these things, help us out. Because if we can get some money, we will be there. And we will take you guys with us.
We will. I mean, not literally take you with us, obviously. We could, if we could.
Oh, yeah. If I could afford that. No, I'm saying on phone, like in spirit and in video. I would love to take you guys with us.
So let's talk about then how do we get there?
Yes.
So
I guess really not just how we get there, but also this will be my first after WrestleMania.
Yes.
Is the next one going to get me as hyped as WrestleMania? Or at least close?
I mean, maybe. It depends. They try to put a lot into their big 4s, so they try to do a lot. Obviously, we have other premium live events in between, right? Recently, coming up, we have Backlash.
Yes.
I think Money in the Bank will be coming up soon after that. So, there's going to be fun things in between. They're going to have good story points. So it's not all just nothing happens. It's all going to eventually build to those big ones.
Okay. Well, I'm buckled in and I'm ready to go on this journey.
Yes. Yeah, as you should be, because we got a lot coming up. Because, later this month we have the draft coming. So you're going to see superstars change brands. So you're going to see whole different groups of superstars on these brands. you're going to have to find all new people you love or just start watching it all as I do.
Yes, which you threw that curveball at me. I think it was
Mhm.
before WrestleMania. I don't even know how it came about or what we were talking about, but you're like, oh, well, but maybe they'll go to SmackDown or maybe, they'll switch and somebody will come to Raw. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then you said, oh, the draft. And you never told me about that before. No one ever
Yes.
told me about this before. So at first, I think I was like upset and kind of shocked because I was like, well, no, these are like my people. And since we don't watch SmackDown regularly, I was like so sad. Then I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I think I finally come to terms with, well, I'm probably just going to be watching SmackDown as well. You got me there. Yeah, you've been baby stepping me into it. You were lucky to get me to a live event. You were lucky to get me to watch Raw. And now at this point, I'm like, well, I think this was a little ploy by you and WWE because you said, well, she's not watching enough. How do we get her to watch more?
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is, I don't think the draft ever existed until now because you guys are just trying to trap me and get me into watching as much wrestling as possible.
That's 100% it. I called the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, and I said, hey, how do we get my wife to watch more wrestling?
And Triple H came on, or Paul, I guess.
Yeah, he came on and he said, hey, we got The Rock. That should be enough.
And you said, no, here's the thing, though. It wasn't enough because, she's watching it, but, he's not going to be on it for a while, so she was just going to fall off. I mean, The Undertaker came. Rock, I still love you, okay? I've been here since, not your day one, but my day one.
She turned pretty hard once The Undertaker came out.
Listen, I don't want you to hold that against me. Please. It was The Undertaker. It was, like, so emotional. It was so in the moment. I didn't know, and it was so cool. I still love The Undertaker, too, so if you're watching, please, I love you both.
She's a flip-flopper.
I am not a flip-flopper. It's just I love you both, and I don't know what to do. And they did that to me, and it was so much in the moment. But I'm here for you, Rock. And yes, I will watch more anytime he's on there.
Right. But in the meantime, Triple H called me, or I called Triple H. He said, let's just do a draft. We'll split them up, do a draft.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, a draft, like, sports. And that's what I'm saying. I think this went so deep. You guys thought so hard on this to get me here.
Yep.
You got me here. You did what you needed to do. Good job, Triple H.
Triple H, I'm going to call you again soon. It's working, Also, please just, call me some more. For real, please, this time.
Honestly, if you just, like, heart one of our videos, you don't even have to comment. I think he would just die.
Mm-hmm.
And he would probably, we're talking about we don't have money to go to all these events. He would figure it out. He would give you all his money. So, like I said, even just a heart would be great. If you want to comment, whatever.
One day.
That would be better.
One day it's going to happen. But yes, Triple H and I conspired to get you to watch as much wrestling as possible. We're still trying to figure out a way to get you to watch NXT. I'm talking about maybe drafting Roman to NXT would help.
Oh my gosh.
That would never happen.
The first time ever. I mean, let's pump the brakes, okay? You're lucky you got me on Raw and SmackDown. It's not that he's dragging me along. I'm choosing this. Like I said, this was a ploy he knew. But I already have to fit in my schedule now, the extra. So NXT is probably going to get on the back burner for a little bit.
Hey, that's fine. You were the one that this week came to me and told me, hey, we need to watch SmackDown. And so, I'm happy with that. We'll take that for now.
Okay, well, here we are. So
here we are.
Now we know we're going into these pay-per-views. And of course I'm going to be watching those.
Yes.
One day be there. But I know that was the biggest thing that you were telling me and trying to get me to understand, which I'm getting there, guys. But I guess really, how do we get into there and what's going to keep me going? That's really what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this week on SmackDown and the last two Raws, we've seen a lot of stuff that are showing that they're going to be moving storylines forward. I think one of the big ones that we saw was something that I kind of talked about was going to happen was the Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Yep, unfortunately.
Gunther, he will always be my champion. But yes, anyway.
So on Raw, we saw that, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable had a really good match. Sami Zayn won. Obviously, it's in Montreal, or as Pat McAfee said, Montreal.
Yes, with no T. I agreed, Pat, by the way. Why don't they pronounce the T? It's clearly there.
So after the match, exactly what I said was going to happen happened. Chad Gable attacked Sami Zayn and is essentially turning into a heel or a bad guy.
Which, yes, so that gets this big concept of predictions. Now, did he predict that Chad was going to literally attack him right after? Not necessarily, but you did predict for a while now. It's been weeks and weeks, maybe months. I don't know, that Chad was going to turn.
Yes.
And I remember, I guess even from the first live show, there were certain predictions. We'll talk about another one a little later that you brought up. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, oh, the wrestling fans get so deep. They have to predict everything. Like, just watch. But I'm figuring out why you get that into it and why you have predictions. I did not think this was something I was going to really get into or understand or have opinions on yet because I don't have the history. So I was like, well, what am I going to predict? How am I going to predict? But I'm understanding why you have predictions. I have some big predictions, especially after this last SmackDown and Raw.
I want to hear those.
Of course. Yeah, we try not to talk about these before so we can see what we have to say to each other. But yes, one of the biggest predictions I remember you saying for a while now was the Chad one.
Yes.
And at first I kind of didn't understand because I always liked Chad, but I was like, okay, fine. But the prediction was that he was going to be bad. And I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, when you've been watching wrestling as long as I have, over 15 years, you start to see patterns. You start to understand what's going to happen. Sometimes you're fooled. Sometimes it's a surprise. But that made sense to me that he's going to be bad. I'm excited for it. Bad guys. I know you're the one that loves the bad guys more than I do, but I definitely think it gives people like a fresh coat of paint. It makes them a little more exciting.
Yes, and I like Chad from the beginning.
Right.
So maybe I saw it coming. I don't know because I'm liking all these bad guys.
Oh, so now
maybe
you're
I felt it.
like a fortune, you can read the future now.
Yeah, I'm definitely psychic. Or I don't know. So I mean, So these predictions I'm not as good at as you. But when we are watching a match, I think I've impressed you a few times, and I'm like, this is what's going to happen, and I almost can pretty much every time know when that 3's going to hit. So I definitely have some kind of skill. I don't know if I should be a writer for WWE, something, but we'll talk. I mean, that's a different episode. But definitely with Chad, I love it. And I love the way it happened. I think it was so exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I just want that to be on the record that you may be, this person that gets everything right. But I got that one right. So 1 point for me.
You did. Yeah, like I said, it's been weeks you've been calling that. And I think even in the match, we both immediately said Sami was going to win.
Yes.
Not only was it in Canada, I think that crowd probably would have lost it, but we knew he was going to win. He also wasn't going to lose the title that fast. But I think both of us felt that it wasn't just going to end. Like something was going to happen. Of course, I wanted Gunther to come out because
that would have been cool.
I've missed. I mean, Gunther, where are you? I need to see you. Like
he's been gone for a week. It's 2 weeks now.
But it's like a long time.
It's 2 weeks.
And I'm still with you, even though you lost that championship. So please come back. But that's a side note. Anyway, but you even said like, well, maybe Chad's gonna turn on him this time, or well, I mean, he was already against him, but he's gonna be bad. And I think when the match ended, and they held their hands up together, their arms up together, like he congratulated him. I think I was kind of still waiting, but I almost think you kind of deflated maybe.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, like we're not going to see it. That's kind of what my thought was. Like, okay, well, maybe later. Like I knew it was still going to happen eventually, but it's going to get a slow build. And then when he grabbed him and suplexed him on the floor, I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I want to see is that ruthlessness from Chad Gable. And we saw it.
I know, and he ripped him from his wife's embrace.
Yep.
It was so good, Chad. I mean, fantastic. I loved it. I was excited. I think you were excited not only because of the moment, but you were also like, got it.
Yep. And thus continues the story of Bella being a bully. Or at least liking the bullies.
It's just they have, I think, the best moments. I know a lot of people say, no, obviously not. The good guys do. I'm sorry, guys. It's in my soul deep, I guess. It gets me so hyped.
Well, yeah, let's just continue to move on from that because I have nothing to say about that.
Well, I mean, if you have nothing else to say about the Chad and Sami situation.
Except for the fact that I was right. Go ahead.
Of course. So we'll say that 5 more times for you guys in case you didn't hear.
Yep.
let's talk about my other bad guy that I like.
Another one that I feel strongly that I will be right on
Mm-hmm.
soon is Damian Priest.
Yeah. So, real quick backstory on this. I said from that first live show you were making predictions. I actually remember this being the first prediction you made on that live show was about Damian Priest pulling away from Judgment Day at some point,
Yes.
possibly becoming good. And at the time, like I said, I was just like, I don't know. Like, and I, from that first live show, I liked Damien. I liked his style, everything. But I was like, cool, whether he does or not, I can't say. But that was the first one I remember you saying. So that was months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you've stuck on that. Now, when
Yes.
you said it, it did make me start paying attention. And I agreed with you. And we are going to have to see how that goes and kind of what your prediction is with how that's going to go. Because I have a
Yes.
minor prediction for this one.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I think it was very obvious this week that Damian Priest and the rest of the Judgment Day may not be on the same page. There is a little scuffle at the end that they seem like they weren't on the same page. To me, it makes sense. Like, he's the world champion now. He's gonna want to break away. Whether he wants to voluntarily or they're gonna kick him out, I don't know. But definitely, he's gonna become his own person and not just be part of the Judgment Day. But I'm curious to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. I didn't know from the beginning if it was that he was necessarily going to turn and be good or if it was just a separation from the Judgment Day, but I definitely have felt it for a long time now.
Right.
His kind of like, I guess I don't even know how to explain it, but that pull away or that miscommunication, there's been a lot of moments we've seen where it seems like he's not on the same page with the rest of the Judgment Day. And yes, like you said, after this week's Raw, that was very clear. And I do also agree this concept that now that he has the title, I think, he's going to want to be more serious. He's going to take this really seriously. He's going to really fight for it and push for it. And obviously, Judgment Day kind of has this different vibe. So, well, except Rhea, but unfortunately, we saw Rhea's out for a few months now. But I agree that he's going to pull away. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, we talked about the draft this week a lot. I've been talking about it because didn't know.
Right.
If it's because, maybe he's going to go to SmackDown or, somebody else is going to go to SmackDown and it's really going to break the Judgment Day apart. But my prediction overall is that not only is he going to leave, but I think it's his time to kind of turn and maybe be good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, like, personal opinion, with Rhea Ripley not there, and we saw that she had to vacate the title, she probably won't be on TV until she's back and ready to go. It's a whole other story. But with her not being there, she was kind of the unofficial leader of the Judgment Day, keeping everybody together. So without her there, I feel like it makes it very clear that, like, Dom will probably break out on his own. Either do something on his own or do something with, like, Santos or, Ray or Andrade or something. I think he's going to do something on his own. I think that leaves Finn, JD, and Damien to fight it out. And I could very much see there being, like, a really cool match because I love Finn Balor. Like, Finn Balor challenging Damien. Like, not only for, like, the Judgment Day, leader of the Judgment Day, but for the title or something to that effect.
Well, and obviously I don't know, but a lot of what we've talked about and a lot of the current people you've told me over time, like, oh, well, they were actually tag team with this person and, they were in a group with this person. So, I mean, it kind of seems like that's also a theme, right? If him and Finn were in a tag team together, well, at some point, they're going to go against each other.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll learn this, most of the time when people are tag teams together, they either have already feuded or they eventually will feud against each other. So it's just a common thing. You're going to learn.
I'm getting there, guys.
Yep.
And that's one of the ones that I've seen countless times because it's like every time somebody comes in a match, like, oh, yeah, they were tag team together.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. So that's also, I agree with that prediction on that.
Yes.
Now, I know that with Damien, and we know what's coming up next, seeing these last couple weeks, is he is going to be fighting for that title.
Yeet.
Yeah. I'm still a no yeet girl, but we got some stuff to talk about there later. But he's going to be facing Jay. Mm-hmm. And so I guess this is a big prediction whether or not Damien's going to keep the title, if Jay's going to get the title. I'm curious to know what you think about that.
So, and we'll definitely talk about this more. I don't know. My gut is telling me that Damian Priest keeps the title.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes the most sense, especially when you look at the draft and you look at who the champions are. That makes the most sense. But if Jey Uso is going to play more into this bigger bloodline storyline, there could be a world where I could see him being the world champion and being in this storyline too. So I'm a little torn. I definitely think that Damian Priest will keep it, but there's a chance that I see that happening.
Well, and yes, because for me, honestly, I don't know either with that specific match. Like,
Right.
is Damian going to win? Is Jay going to win? Obviously, I want Damian to win.
Of course you do.
But I do think, because a big thing we saw this last week with SmackDown was this whole bloodline situation. And so I think that changed it a lot for me. What I think my prediction for Jay is going into this bloodline situation, which I
Put
think
your ones up.
I-
Put your ones up
will
for your
put
tribal chief.
my tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
Put your ones up for the tribal chief.
My tribal chief, Roman Reigns. I will not keep a one up for whatever's going on right now with Solo. But I definitely think going into this, I see what you're saying with Jay having the title or not, and we can talk about this more now going into the bloodline. I don't know. You'll have to explain more how this would play out. But my biggest thing, I think, with the bloodline, I have a lot of predictions.
Okay.
And so, I mean, spoiler, I guess, for those of you who have not watched SmackDown. So be careful here. But we saw that Solo turned on Jimmy,
Yes.
my no ye boy. And man, I feel bad for Jimmy. You know, he's had 2 brothers. This is blood. Turn on him.
Hey, Jay told him to go with him, and he didn't.
Yeah, but you know, but family above all.
Apparently not.
Well, that's what Jimmy was sticking with. Jay didn't.
Jimmy clearly wasn't.
Jay said, "I'm gonna go off on my own, and I'm gonna just sell a lot of shirts."
Yeah.
So not family above all.
And then
Jimmy was.
maybe this is a greater storyline about human people. You know, family above all doesn't always work because, you know, Jimmy's own brother turned on him.
Both brothers.
Yes.
Which, that's what I'm saying. So honestly, my heart goes out to you, Jimmy. I don't know what that would feel like. You know, all my siblings turned on me. Well, I don't know. He probably has more. But I'm talking about in this.
In this, yeah.
That would be upsetting. So just, you know, real quick call out to him. But that leads into my theory. I think immediately when we saw that, first of all, I was like, oh no, like Solo, no, because I like Solo. Well, we'll see.
Like,
But I immediately said, oh, Jimmy and Jay are getting back.
right.
Well, it sounds bad to say together, but you know,
Yes.
they're going to mend that bond.
Yes.
That was my prediction.
Yeah, which I agree that's going to happen eventually.
Oh, of course. I know nothing happens fast. So I know this week on SmackDown, I'm not going to see anything. But yes, I think that's where that part is headed.
Yes, I agree. I think that Solo bringing on Tama Tonga, who I know you don't know anything about.
Yeah, when he came on stage, I said, who's that?
Yep. So, you know, he's unofficial, you know, member of the family. He's the son of Haku, who is, you know, very close friends with The Rock's family. The Rock considers Haku an uncle to him. I think The Rock brought him a truck for his birthday or something. So, you know, very close, even if they're not blood related.
I mean, I will be part of The Rock's family if he will buy me a truck.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, if it doesn't, because you said they're not actually related.
Yes,
right?
I don't believe they are blood related.
I mean, remember, Rock, I said earlier, I'm with you. You're it for me. We're not talking about the Undertaker part. Thank you.
I was just say she turned on you pretty quick,
No,
Rock.
we're ignoring that part for now. Don't forget, I came back. I'm with you, Rock. So anytime you need more family, I would love a truck. Honestly, I would just love a like from you too. You know, it's a joke about the truck. Well, you know, but anything from you.
So you're on the final boss's side, not the tribal chief side on this?
Excuse me, we will get there.
Okay.
Just remember, Rock, I'm here.
So with this storyline, I think that there is more to come with that about The Rock and Roman. We'll get there in a minute.
Yes.
But I also think that there's more to come with this Solo bloodline, right?
Yes, which you'll have to explain more because, like I said, I had no idea who this person was when they came on the stage. I was like, who is this? Or sorry, not the stage, in the ring. I was like, who is this? And so this part's all you.
Yes. So there's rumors for a while that Tama Tonga was signed with WWE. There's also rumors that another independent wrestler who is legitimately part of the family named Jacob Fatu is signed with WWE. Jacob Fatu is a beast in the ring. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. So everybody naturally who knows this stuff was speculating. If you got two members, like two, potential members of the family, you're not going to not put them in the bloodline storyline, right?
Of course.
Makes no sense to have them do something else. So most people, I'm not the only one that has this sentiment, think that Jacob Fatu will somehow debut and help Solo, and Solo is probably forming his own version of the bloodline.
Yes, and I obviously that's really what it seemed like. When they came up to Paul at the end and said, from the orders of the tribal chief, and he said, "What does that mean?" I agree. What did that mean?
Yep.
I have my theory on it. It seemed like, wait, is Solo the tribal chief? But I don't think so. I think maybe it's someone else coming in, whether it's one of these two. But I obviously think they're not. Well, not think. I know they're not talking about Roman.
Right.
So, who is going to be their tribal chief is the question.
Yeah, I think that's the $1,000,000 question. I don't know. I definitely think it's going to be a long, played out storyline. I have a guess as to who may be behind this total, but I think that's probably best saved a little bit till the end, so we can kind of talk through how we're going to get there first.
Yes. So, because what my biggest prediction was with this, besides the fact that Jimmy and Jay were going to, mend this bond and come back together, I think, and you'll have to tell me what you think, that their tribal chief will be Roman.
Yeah, I think Roman will come back at some point. When he does, he's going to get cheered. He's going to be a good guy. So I think that means he's going to be siding with the good guys in the storyline, which will be Jimmy and Jay, right?
Yes, and I agree, because I don't see why they're going to have Jay go off on this, off on his own, and he became good, and then put him back to being bad. I feel like that's their progression, is Jay's good, Jimmy's going to meet him up there, and when Roman comes back, he's obviously not going with Solo, because Solo pulled this.
Right.
So he's going to be their tribal chief, my tribal chief forever. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yes. So, like, my overall kind of predictions would be that whatever brand the bloodline ends up on, Jay goes to that brand. Most likely SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it could be. He could go with the title. He might not. Right.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
But at some point, he's going to get beat down by Solo and this bloodline. And who's going to come save him but Jimmy returning?
Oh, with his great shoes, by the way.
Yeah, he always has great kicks, huh?
Jimmy, what is your kick game? Is that you? Like, who picks those for you? Fantastic. Please, no matter what, keep that.
Yes. So, Jimmy's going to come save him. And then it'll be those two versus the new bloodline. And who are they going to need? But the third member, their tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And then we'll have this bloodline civil war.
Which I am all for. Honestly, great movie name.
Yeah, right? It's good, huh? WWE knows what they're doing,
Yeah, that's a great name, but I agree.
Yes. So there's more theories I have around this.
Well, yes, because my biggest question, and we kind of touched this, but if that were to happen, right, we knew Roman, well, we didn't know, but, this idea that Roman would have to come back, and that's our prediction. I'm glad we're on the same page there. But you've been talking, and the internet's been talking for a long time about Roman versus The Rock. And The Rock already promised to come back for Cody specifically.
For Cody, yep.
But so my thing is if we do have this separation in the bloodline, especially how we think it's going to happen, where does The Rock fit in then? Because, the bloodline split. So which bloodline does he choose? Or if you even think that's going to happen, that's a prediction I'd love to know from you.
Yeah, so I think we're going to try kind of get all of it, right? I think he's going to come back and want to face Cody. Whether that's for the title, my guess would be for some kind of title, right? I'm not for sure, but I would assume that whether he wins or loses, I don't know what The Rock would do, but I think he would face Cody. I think he would come face to face with Roman. I think The Rock would make it seem like he was on Roman's side, and in my opinion, then we find out that The Rock was secretly behind Solo's bloodline this whole time.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes. So again,
so he is their tribal chief then. That would be in your prediction. This tribal chief is actually The Rock.
Yes, I think it'd take months of building up, and I think they're going to make you think that Solo's the tribal chief without actually saying it.
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends up being that The Rock is their tribal chief.
Well, real quick side question. So if Solo is even going to intermediately be the tribal chief, are they still going to do ones or are we doing thumbs?
Ones or thumbs, who knows?
Ones or thumbs, guys? Answer
Both.
that for
You
me.
do both like The Rock did.
That's kind of like loser, though.
It's kind of loser.
So, I don't know which hand his thumb is on, his spike,
Right.
but is that loser? I don't know, guys. I'm not good with. But either way, I mean, if they keep doing ones, that's kind of stupid, right? They should do thumbs.
I don't know. We'll see.
Until the Rock
Well,
comes in.
I don't really know if the thumbs up in the air is a great look for them, you know?
Well, his is. He's got it all wrapped up, but the rest would kind of be like. No, anyway, sorry.
So, no, you're fine. But I did have a thought the other day about this whole thing that I think could be interesting, right? So when Roman Reigns comes back, he's a good guy. He's gonna need to make amends with people, right? Like a good guy can't hold grudges against people who are also good. So he'd have to go on this like Roman Reigns redemption tour, as I like to call it. Well, in November, there's Survivor Series. And the last few years, they've done it Survivor Series War Games.
Which I love War Games.
Who doesn't?
I mean, the first time I saw the War Games, you were actually playing the video game.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, what's that? And I thought it was like for the video game. And then you're like, oh, no, it's for like they actually do this. And that was actually one of the shows I got to watch.
Yes.
Because we had started watching before that.
Yes.
And wow, whoever came up with that, so cool.
Dusty Rhodes, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Dusty.
Yep. So, yeah, he actually legit came up with that. So.
Oh, well then, fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic.
So, War Games though, it's 5-on-5. So if you have Solo's group going against Roman's group, they're each going to need some new members.
Of course.
So there's already rumors that WWE's looking at more members of their family to bring in.
The bloodline.
The bloodline, like the legitimate Roman Reigns family.
Like actually blood family,
Yes,
not...
the Fatus and the Noya family and stuff. So
Okay.
they can get another member for there, right?
Now, would that go on Roman's side or on Solo's side?
So my thought would be if they bring somebody in to go on Solo's side, that's 4 members. Roman, Jimmy, and Jay, that's 3.
Yes.
Well, if he's on his redemption tour and he needs somebody who is good to be on his side, who better than somebody he just faced?
Cody.
Yes. And
His previous tag team.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah.
Right?
This is what I'm saying. I'm learning this, guys.
Yes.
But yes, definitely Seth freaking Rollins.
So who better to also then finally show themselves as the tribal chief of Solo's group and have like The Rock.
Which would be so cool.
So if you had Solo and his group in The Rock versus Roman and his group, that includes Seth and Cody, in a War Games match, that could set up, I mean, it's in November, so it's not long before WrestleMania. So you could be setting up potential matches like maybe Roman and Rock one-on-one at Royal Rumble, and then Rock Cody one-on-one in WrestleMania, or vice versa. You could set up all of those matches leading into it.
I think it sounds great. I love it.
Who knows what's going to happen? Probably not. I'm probably fantasy booking the crap out of this. I'll probably go play this in the video game just to make myself happy at some point. But that's something that I would think it's a possibility, even if not exactly that. I think that's the route they would take.
Yeah, I think overall we both agree. We think it's going to definitely be Roman with the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. And Solo is going to have these incoming members from the bloodline. And ultimately, The Rock is who they are talking about with the tribal chief. I think we agree on that.
Yes, I overall that's what I agree with. You know, it might change. We might find out on SmackDown on Friday. They might have just give us some answers that we were expecting. But as of right now, that's what I think.
Yes. So once again, this is where I would love to hear input from everyone else, especially our deep wrestling fans. You know, is this something you're thinking? Is this something, you know, you'd want to see? Also, if Will's just spot on, we're going to have to wait and see. So you guys have to tune in. He could be utterly wrong.
I could just have made a complete embarrassment of myself, and I could be wrong. But
I mean, don't forget, he was right with Chad.
Yes.
I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
No, I don't think we have. That I was right about Chad Gable turning bad. Anyways. Go ahead.
No, so just to clarify, he was right about Chad Gable. So he could be right about this.
Yes.
I mean, because you were also sad about Damien. We don't know if you're right yet.
I'm pretty sad about it.
but it's seeming that way. So I think you're going pretty hard here. You're 1-0 right now.
1-0.
You could possibly soon be 2-0.
Yes. So my question though is, if I am right about this,
Mm-hmm.
do I get to call myself the tribal chief? You're throwing ones up for me.
No. Tribal chief is only Roman, but we can give you some new title. We'll work on that. Comments on that would be great.
The tribal chef. Maybe.
I mean, if you're gonna cook,
Because I'm cooking up these storylines.
So
Got her hard.
I mean, then I'm gonna have to guess that I smell what's cooking, you know?
You are gonna smell what's cooking.
But I mean, that also could hurt me because who would I go with, The Rock or Roman?
That's
They got to
true.
stop doing this to me. They got to stop pinning my people against each other. And I mean, is this how you guys feel? It's just like emotional all the time.
It is an emotional roller coaster.
Like, man, can they just like they got to keep it for it's a lot. I mean, I love it. I'm just kidding. Don't stop. But man, I just can't handle all these emotions.
I mean, so it sounds like what you're saying is you do want them to just take a break till Mania season. Just be off. No, nothing.
No, because I like, well, no, I get why you guys watch this all the time, and I am impressed with them keeping me going. So no, I don't. I was just saying it's the only sport I know where they don't just stop at some point. They just keep going.
There is no off season in the WWE.
Which mad respect for you guys. That's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy for the wrestlers. It's crazy for fans.
Oh, I mean, for the fans, no, you guys always got something.
It is. We do. You know, it's a lot to keep up with. I'm not gonna lie. You know, but somebody's got to do it. You know.
Yeah, you guys take one for the team.
Take one for the team. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get into that because my emotions are just too high. I'm probably just gonna pass out one day every time these keep happening.
Yes.
I sit there and I'm like, yeah, it's all right, and then man, they hit me with something and I'm back in. That's exactly what happened with the Bloodline on SmackDown.
Yes. Oh, 100%. You know, it never stops. Like, just keeps going. You finally falter a little bit. They bring something else up. But, you know, as The Rock said the other day, wrestling's cool again.
Oh yeah, I mean, he deserves taking all of the credit for people watching and I know most of you don't agree. You're
I mean,
like,
half the credit. You know, Cody was there too.
Oh well, of course, but I mean, he does make it cool.
He does make it cool.
I mean, like those outfits, his little situations with Cody. I mean, it was cool. It got me.
Yes.
So this is somebody who is coming into this not ready and, you know, tiptoeing my way in, and man, I just dived right into that pool.
So we'll see how you feel about it if my Bloodline Civil War comes true, and then you have to put him and Roman against each other.
So we'll see, guys, because I can't give you an answer now. As we go, I will let you know how I feel and who I choose. But I do think that also hits on this bigger idea of the groups, right? So the
Yes.
Bloodline. I know I call them groups, and you had to educate me a little bit.
Yes. I mean, wrestling, generally, there's two different terms. You can use a faction or a stable.
A stable,
Yes.
like horses.
Yes.
Okay.
Or, you know, a stable of people. Yes.
No, I was just making sure you didn't say staple.
Oh,
you
no,
know, with the P,
stable, like horses.
you know, the thing that holds paper together.
Yes.
A stable where horses are.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a lot of them. Obviously, we've just talked about two major ones with the Bloodline and Judgment Day.
Well, so what makes one a faction? What makes one a staple? Or are they the same thing, just interchangeable?
You know, maybe we'll have to get into that in a different episode.
I think so, because I actually have a lot of questions about this idea of the faction /
Yes,
stables /
yes.
groups. I say groups, thank you. And because I know this idea is obviously not new. Even when I was watching, there was always groups, right?
Yes.
And so I know there's a ton of history. We could probably do months worth of episodes on getting through every single one that's ever come through
Yes.
wrestling, especially WWE. But I do kind of want to know more about this concept, how it works, and what I'm looking forward to, because it sounds like a lot of this is about to get shaken up and I have to open myself up to the change.
Yes.
So you're going to have to help me with that.
I for sure can help you. I think I can give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of history, talk about maybe some really important groups and like some of the general trends you see with groups. Then maybe that's how I predicted some stuff that, you know what I mean? And I can definitely walk you through all that.
Perfect. Now, that's probably going to take up a little more time
Yes.
or a lot more time. So we should definitely do that next week.
Yeah, definitely next week. I don't know if we have enough time today. So next week we can discuss a whole bunch of groups, as you call them, factions, as I would call them.
A staple.
A state bowl, a state bowl. But we'll talk about that next week, and hopefully, I can teach you a few things.
And I'm here for it. I need all the help I can get because I can't just keep going in blind. I'm gonna have a heart attack. It's too exciting.
It's too much. Okay. Well, next week then, that's what we'll do.
Can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you
Yes.
for watching up till this point and supporting us.
Yes. Bella, I love wrestling.
I know.